Oh, okay. All right. Live.
Yes, yes, we are live. Surprisingly.
After taking a week off last week, and now we're back, and it's looking like it's going to be a pretty interesting year this year. So,
Yeah, the last broken modern format does not even compare to how broken this one is.
is there anything going on right now, like in the current of modern, that is interesting? I don't think.
The new Ixalan set's coming out.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Caverns of Ixalan.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in there seems too busted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how much would cause an impact in modern. There's a removal spell. What is it? Get out.
Yeah. Get
Um,
lost or get out or something.
yeah, it's one any color, one white instant. Destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker,
Mm-hmm.
and then that creature's controller creates two map tokens. And
Yeah.
it might specify that it has to be an opponent's creature or whatever permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And a map token is a artifact that says tap or pay one, tap it, sack it, explore
Yeah.
on the target creature you control.
Yeah. So it's like it seems more conditional than Faithful Absence, even like better, way better than Faithful Absence. In that regard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that card is the real deal. Like that'll definitely get. I mean, it's insane in standard, and then it's a real consideration in Pioneer, and it might break into Modern. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then there's a black blue 8/8. It's
Yeah.
just black and blue 8/8.
Yep.
But there's like some conditions on it.
So it can't attack or block unless you have 8 non-land permanents in your graveyard. And or sorry, maybe it's permanent cards in your
It is
graveyard.
permanent cards.
Permanent cards.
Yeah.
And then it's got like a 4 mana activated ability. I just sent this earlier today in the group chat.
Well,
it's like questioning its power.
This set, there's a lot of mechanics that are very like the word of the mechanic is very similar to each other. So there's like discover and descend and descendant or descending. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. There's one that you descend, as in you put a permanent into the graveyard.
Permanent card.
Permanent
that
card
one
in the
is,
graveyard,
yeah.
And then there's descend number or whatever, and that's
like threshold.
It counts about cares about the number of permanents in your graveyard.
Mm-hmm. So there's one that's like revolt, one that's like threshold, similar to threshold, and then there's a new fixed cascade, which I don't know if we ever needed a new cascade.
So it's a 2 mana 8/8. It has descend 8. The ancient one can't attack or block unless there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. You can pay 2, a blue and a black, draw a card, then discard a card. When you discard a card this way, target player mills cards equal to its mana value.
Seems pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean the pay for activation to like. I could see some funny joke where people like pitch an Emrakul and make you mill 15 cards or something stupid like that with it. But
I'm seeing like maybe dredge, maybe some Death Shadow with unearths, things like that. Just
yeah, it really cares about the self mill aspect of like the dredge or kind of the shadow decks that want to put stuff in their graveyards. It used to be you cast Gurmag Angler right now, so
I kind of think I'd still prefer to play Gurmag Angler over this card. It's just that's a big hoop to jump through. 8 permanents, not just cards, but permanent cards.
Yeah.
And I mean, historically, those types of builds are going through cantrips, like instant sorcery cantrips, not. I mean, you can get there kind of with Mishra's Baubles and things. It's a bit looser, though.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see how it actually performs once the card's out, but I don't have any crazy hopes for it to go anywhere. It seems like a kind of ridiculous card in some ways.
Maybe they think of this as the fixed Hogak. Like they're trying to fix Hogak. They remove the trample. They
remove the trample. Remove the delve. Make it 2 mana. Keep it at that 2 mana cost, but give it a bunch of conditions.
Yeah. Did you see anything else from the format that you're, or from the set that?
Um, Nothing that really shocked me or like made me go whoa. I There's like some interesting. They're starting to get into more of the duplicative effects with like the new god. There's a white god that creates triple the amount of tokens you control,
Hmm.
and then some of the red like non-creature stuff seems interesting. But no, I mean it seems like a very powerful set overall. I mean, it's a standard set that has cavern souls in it, so like.
I'm excited to see like. Oh, actually, that scares the shit out of me. The Cavern of Souls. Because I play a lot of mono blue in standard right now.
Mhm.
I am excited to see like a new set come in and shake things up in standard.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't been playing very much of it, but I'm sure your experience is different than
Hmm.
if you've been playing Mono Blue.
I've been playing standard, some draft, and then Canadian Highlander.
Mm-hmm.
That's like all I've been playing in Magic lately. Canadian Highlander, man, that's a.
It's a real deal. Yeah, I've got a deck list almost done. I just haven't like put the finishing touches on it and sleeved it up.
Mhm.
But next time I have the ability to play Canlander, I should have a deck done. So.
Yeah, I played. I just can. I just played in a like a $25 entry tournament
Mm-hmm.
here at our local game store, and it felt more balanced than modern did. And I'm playing with power. I was playing with ancestral visions in my deck.
Yeah.
It's just you can get the highs and the lows with power, like the Moxen and Black Lotus
Yeah.
and ancestral visions. You have extremes in the games. But the singleton format, I like seeing the variety of cards, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like the EDH 1v1 format. It is the EDH 1v1
Right.
format to
Well,
me.
and then you just have so much opportunity to play like deck variants that wouldn't exist in a 60 card format. Like you can play everything from prowess to dredge to enchantments to artifacts. You know, literally everything, and
Mhm.
still perform decently. Like obviously, there's a top meta, right? Like you've got your
Initiative.
initiative. Yeah, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, initiative is seems very very strong for that format, very impactful.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that makes a difference. Oh, it just reset.
That's strange. Must be the ghost in the house.
Uh,
Oh,
there we go.
yeah. And you can play anything. I'm playing Mental Misstep. I'm playing Skull Clamp. It's all the cards that you get to play in EDH, I guess, but I don't really play that. I'm not a huge fan of the multiplayer formats.
Yeah.
And so this brings all of that. I can access any card I want and play it. So, and then almost every place that we play allows like 10 card proxy. That's just super healthy because there's no card restriction then. Not really.
Well, it's super necessary when a lot of the decks are using their points for Moxen too and Black Lotus or Ancestral Recall, where it's like, okay, literally don't have access to this card, like financially or physically. You know, it's I can't remember the last time I even saw an Ancestral Recall in person, like a real one.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
The Oh yeah, like it's cool to see like people loosening up on proxy rules at card stores, and people not getting like their WPN status revoked because somebody was using proxies at the
Right.
store, and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, but it was necessary when they tried to do the Magic 30 product.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is funny.
No, and then yeah, initiative is a little powerful. I like the fact that there's not it's not solved. The metagame's not solved. There's some good decks, and then I love people talking about like one or two slots in their deck, and it's like the chances of you even seeing that card in a match is pretty minuscule, but it's just like they put so much effort into like two slots in the deck. Like, this is gonna make or break my game.
Oh yeah, this is the crux of the deck. This is the center right here. These three cards.
Yeah. I played like a Jeskai list originally with Ancestral Visions,
Hmm.
and it was pretty good. Like, yeah, the games that I drew Ancestral Visions, it felt way more powerful.
You mean Recall?
Or Recall, yeah,
Yeah,
the real one, the
the real,
Recall.
yeah, the good one.
Just so used to saying Visions. So I built an artifact, blue white artifact beatdown deck,
Hmm.
which uses like it spreads out the points a lot more. I'm playing Soul Ring. I'm playing Sapphire, Mana Vault, which I'm meh on.
Hmm.
It also plays Transmute, which got the point value bumped to 0.
Right.
So now I have like a free point. I threw True Name Nemesis in it, but I'm like I have a weird situation where I'm like, oh, I want to use that point elsewhere. I want to use it on an artifact based thing,
Hmm.
and Mana Vault isn't doesn't do that much for me. It is I don't I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah. It's like
So
one time speedy ramp, and that's about all it does.
mhm. So there's not a lot of there's like 2 points I'm kind of wishy washy on. I can't cut anything for the third point
Hmm.
to get another Mox
Yeah.
or something similar.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, goes to show Watsy's not in charge of that ban list. Though it doesn't have the numbers to prove whether or not it's a truly healthy format.
I mean, just from the display and talk of everyone I've seen, especially in our community, it seems like it's a much more open and diverse format than any other at the moment. Like very much healthier than other formats, I would say.
Oh yeah, people are like people hedge their bets into certain styles of play, and there's ways of directly attacking that.
Hmm.
And I'm just like waiting for a lot of people to start playing mono white in the metagame, and then me just bringing like Knights of Souls Betrayal, and then they all just lose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or what's the Knights of Soul's Trail on a creature? Carvac, I think. I don't
Oh,
know.
I know what you're talking. I don't
Yeah,
know the name of it.
yeah.
And then Meat Hook Massacre in that metagame is just brutal.
Oh, I bet.
I kind of want to build like an aristocrats build,
Hmm.
but yeah,
The deck list I'm working on right now is an Enchantress deck. I'm
really,
trying to see if I can get a 100 card deck that like will function at a pretty fast speed together. So
yeah. There's not a ton of deck lists online, not
no.
like vetted ones that have been in tournaments or anything.
Mm-mm. When I had to do it all manually digging. I found like a couple lists from years ago, and I started off with that. You know, some of the like better enchantments. You got like Sterling Grove and Greater Oromancy. You know, just like the core pieces that protect your enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
The card draw,
The ramp,
the
all
cheap
the
ramps. Yes, all the 1 mana, 2 mana, like burst through
There
your.
you go.
Oh
It's
yeah.
my EDH deck, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
So, hey, got anything else in Magic updates?
Not really. I've been pretty away from Magic for the last couple weeks, so
Yeah, I haven't
just
been playing FNM. I
yeah.
haven't really touched Modern.
Mhm.
Just Canlander and Arena.
Yeah, which is
So,
does say a little bit of something about what's going on. So
so let's go back in our time machine and
to January
oh no,
16th,
did I just mess all that up?
2016.
Let's see if I can not screw all
Flip
of
flop
this
it.
up.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
So right off the bat, at the beginning of the year, we get a new set,
Mm-hmm.
and this year doesn't have a core set. It's all four main sets.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you know about Oath of the Gatewatch, Andrew?
Oath of the Gatewatch was probably like the first set I remember releasing when I played Magic. Like this was 2016. I was in high school. Michael and I were just jamming in the back of the theater, on the floor, on the concrete floor. I was playing with penny sleeves still, and this set dropped, and I was like still so excited over Expeditions. I think the
Little lottery cards. I forgot about that already.
yeah, yeah.
That's big news.
Yeah, I mean, even in Battle for Zendikar, I didn't know it as well then, but as soon as Oath came out, I was like, oh shit, those exist.
Did you ever open one?
Mm-mm,
Neither did
never
I.
opened one.
I think crack packs back then.
Yeah,
Or-
I did crack backs and I never opened one. It got even worse with Kaladesh, but I'll get to that later. But
Mhm.
I think Kaladesh was the set I opened the most of.
Dude, those expeditions got me way more, or the inventions got me way more excited.
Mm-hmm.
I love the border. I love the art on the cards. Just the whole
Mm-hmm.
way they put them together.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, what cards do we got here? Kalidas, Trader again, and Kozilek, the Great Distortion right off the bat. I remember Kalidas constantly being a great card to have in Modern. It was like an awesome counterweight to graveyard-based decks
Mm-hmm.
that cared about, you just dominate with a board of vampires.
Yeah, that static ability of exiling cards going to the graveyard was very important. It's just like the card was almost designed to attack those like fringe archetypes of like dredge and burn right off the bat, and then it's just a powerhouse of a card in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a 3/4 for 4, I think, and it had an activated ability of some kind in addition.
Yeah,
And a keyword. I think did it have lifelink?
yeah, lifelink.
Okay,
That's what
right.
made it so good against
Right.
burn.
Right.
They just couldn't get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Kozilek just kind of on their Oath of Nissa.
That-
It saw some play in like the Saheeli Rydex that we'll get to a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the big one.
Thought Not Seer. Thought Not Seer. I've definitely played against many Thought Not Seers before.
Did you play during Eldrazi Winter?
No. Post Eldrazi Winter is when I started playing
Okay.
Modern. So, but it was still a real deck after
Mhm.
that. Still, but this, what can I say about this card? It's super good. Like,
People were already on. There wasn't any mystery about these cards. It was
yeah.
there was already like an Eldrazi deck forming, a black-white one, and then these got previewed, and everybody knew we've got soul lands in order to just push all these out on turn 2 or earlier.
Because Eldrazi Temple already existed, Iavugan already existed, and I think that's all you needed.
Yeah. Some decks might have played the Simian Spirit Guide.
Oh
just
yeah.
a little faster, but
Yep.
that was here. Kind of not even really played that
yeah,
much.
Look,
it was out there. So a solid play would be like Eldrazi or Iavugan, Eldrazi Mimic, another Soul Land, Thought Not Seer,
Yep.
and attack for 8, and then you're dead next turn.
It would be Thought Not Seer's a 4/4. Yeah, so make the mimics 4/1s until the end of turn.
Yeah. Most likely you're dead next turn.
Right.
It just Thought Not Seer, Reality Smasher, Eldrazi Mimic, and then there are some side ones within like Eldrazi Displacer and Matter Reshaper was always a core part of that deck, and Endbringer was part of it. Eldrazi Obligator was pretty.
Last week when we were previewing Battle for Zendikar, there was the Sky Swanner too. That one was good as well. And Drowner of Hope. I don't know if that. When did that?
Drowner of Hope. What's that one do?
The one that taps stuff down. It makes 2 scions and like.
Oh, so yeah, no, I forgot about that. I don't
Yeah.
even think I wrote that one down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what set it came out in. Because there was like all these Eldrazi sets right around each other. But yeah, that was. I remember that was a good counterplay, and I think one of our friend Cody's favorite cards too. His favorite Eldrazi.
Yeah, our good friend Cody, he played Eldrazi way past its due date, and I mean it. We'll see in some of these Grand Prix.
Yeah,
I think even in the Pro Tour, they broke the Pro Tour with this.
Yeah,
this is one of their big ones.
Yep,
and it's just like. I think there's like 6 copies and like 7 copies in some of these Grand Prix. Whereas compare that to Treasure Cruise. I mean, I don't think we even saw 4. We saw that Dangerous 4 number.
No, it was only like the Burn decks and the what's it called? Receiver XR Splinter Twin decks.
Yep.
That like really utilized it that well. So.
I during this time I sold out of all my Eldrazi stuff, and I played Coco, like the Molira Pod version of Coco, and I actually won. I won some smaller tournaments with it. I don't know. This deck is insane. There's no doubt about it. I wasn't that afraid of it at the time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Maybe I should have been a little more. Warping Whale falls into that deck.
I still sees playing Tron to this day too. I think sometimes.
Yeah, World Breaker. There was like a mono green Tron list that somebody from Star City popularized, and that
the first
that got up to a 4 of in the deck.
Mm-hmm. The first time I ever tried to build a Tron, World Breaker was like one of the 4 cards I picked up first because it was still being played in lists at the time.
Oh, wait, I gotta transition it over. Help out the audience. Reckless Bushwhacker that brought in the 8 whack deck. Reflector Mage is a part of humans.
Huge humans card.
Goblin Dark Duelers a little bit. And then there's just some little cards that
Slip Through Space is interesting. That I think saw a little bit of play in fact for a little bit.
Definitely, yeah. These are all kind of cards that saw some amount of play. Just it's not like they're
Crumbling Vestige saw play up until like a couple of years ago in primetime still because of its just ability to be a pseudo bounce land type deal.
Right off the bat. Right away in the year, before any Grand Prix, before anything else.
2 days after the release of this set.
The worst news I could receive.
Yep.
I'm curious how, if they didn't do this banning, well, Summer Bloom definitely had to go. But if they left Splitter Twin, I wish we could have seen it play out of what would happen.
Splinter Twin versus Eldrazi Winter.
Most likely Eldrazi still would have overrun it. It is what it is. Yeah. Most of the no ban list modern tournaments have proven that Eldrazi is like the best deck. While I was bringing up YouTube stuff, what's that YouTube channel that's going back and I don't know, they're going back and they pick like a deck from like each year modern. They're doing a bracket to the finals, and the finals is Eldrazi versus 12 Post. I didn't watch it, so I don't know who won, but I mean,
yeah,
my money's kind of on
Eldrazi. Yeah, because like the 12 Post deck, you got to wait like 3 turns, and by the time it hits turn 3, the Eldrazi deck's trying to kill you.
Yeah, it might have you dead.
Yeah.
One Reality Smasher and lights out. Let's bring this bad boy up. There we go. Yep, this was some of the worst news I've ever received in my life. We look for competitively viable decks that frequently win before turn 4. The Amulet Titan deck performance level that is consistent with those criteria. In the last year, Justin Cohn finished second at Pro Tour, and
they were treating the combination of a turn 3 Hive Mind with a Pact as a turn 3 win.
Yeah, so it's saying the consistency of a before turn 3 win. It's way too consistent with Amulet Titan, and Summer Bloom enables those games. So, I'm sorry, Summer Bloom enabled those, and so that's why Summer Bloom got the axe. I mean, Amulet of Vigor is still around, still super dangerous, but as we all learned, you gotta know what you're doing with that deck in order to really get those games in.
That deck has a very high skill ceiling.
Now, it talks a lot about Summer Bloom. And then it talks here about Splitter Twin. Just some of the placements of the Pro Tours. Last modern Grand Prix in Pittsburgh, there were 3 Splitter Twin decks in the top 8, including the winning deck. So they are looking at those like numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
We said that magic 4 number, but that didn't quite get there.
They have 3 decks in the top 8 of Grand Prix Pittsburgh. Yeah, they kind of mentioned like what tournaments they've seen the play in, and
So the summer bloom is understandable to me. It completely makes sense. So here's their actual justification, word for word. Decks that are this strong can hurt diversity by pushing the decks that it defeats out of competition. They can also reduce diversity by supplanting similar decks. For instance, Sean McLaren won Pro Tour Born of the Gods playing this Jeskai control, which is a link. Alex, I want to say Berticini, but it's not Alex Berticini. It's Alex Bianci won our most recent modern Grand Prix playing a similar deck, but adding the splitter twin combination. Similarly, Teamer Tempo used to see play at high levels events, but is been supplanted by Teamer Twin. We considered that one would do with the card. We considered what one would do with the cards from Splitter Twin deck, from a Splitter Twin deck with Splitter Twin banned. In the case of some Jeskai or Teamer, they are very similar decks to build. In other cases, there is a Kiki Jiki as a replacement. In the interest of competitive diversity, Splitter Twin is banned from Modern. So it's pretty much saying there was Jeskai Control and Teamer Delver, and all of those players just went to Splitter Twin. Yeah, I mean, it's the better deck.
Right.
Now the question is, looking at the metagame in this year of 2016, do we see either of those archetypes pop up? I don't think so, but we'll look. It's hard to measure because Eldrazi Winter came and distorted all of the numbers.
I mean, when I think of this time period of Modern, I literally just think of Eldrazi Winter. Like, it's hard to. I wonder what other kind of decks even presented a real threat against this deck. So I'm interested to see what the tournament results look like.
Those 2 decks that they just cited, that they want to see more of, don't stand a chance against Eldrazi. Not even close.
Yeah.
Splitter Twin is kind of proven not to beat it out head to head, and I think that's still how it would have played out. As the police of the format, they were kind of cuffed with their own handcuffs there. I actually thought there was more to that Splitter Twin announcement than there actually was. So right after that, here comes the Pro Tour.
A month later, less than a month later.
And it's understandable that they want to shake up the format for the Pro Tour, because I think it would have been a lot of Amulet Titan and a decent amount of Splitter Twin.
That's gross. That was so gross. What the hell? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Eldrazi aggro decks and 2 affinity decks. That's this entire format.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick Dickman got 3rd/4th place playing affinity. They take away his Splitter Twin Termagoyf, and
he's like, "Fuck it, I'll play the artifacts."
I didn't know he got 4th on a Pro Tour. That's even cooler. But LSV's in this top 8. Ian Flock, classic names. Pascal Menard.
So this is pretty similar to the standard list we'll see pretty much the entire time. Like some blue-red splash. Oh, there's Drowner
of Hope. Yep.
So that was in Battle for Zendikar, not Oath of the Gatewatch.
So here's kind of the 2 degenerate cards that really enable this deck. But then Eldrazi Mimic is a lot of the speed of the deck.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Endless one. We did bring that up last week.
Yep.
And then you're playing some weird cards like Vile
Aggregation. Deals a number equal to... Its power is equal to the number of colorless creatures you control. Okay, that makes sense because it's an X5 body.
Ruination Guide.
Yep.
This card and this card got pushed out.
Mhm.
Dismember makes sense.
Yeah.
And then like if the sideboard doesn't deal with Eldrazi, I don't know why you're actually playing any of it.
Yep.
Let's-
Tomb of the Spirit Dragons, cool too. So I saw a bunch of that when I was watching some gameplay of these tournaments.
So this one's even quicker with the Simian Spirit Guides.
Mm-hmm.
Chalice of the Void's main deck. I don't know what they're really worried about. Maybe Affinity and putting it on 0. It's just like I don't even know why you need them.
Mm-hmm. The brick of Affinity.
Oh, I guess Infect. If you put it on 1,
Oh, sure.
Infect can't really compete with you.
Yeah. I mean, you'd always just stick it on 1, right? And it shuts down most other decks against what they want to do. Shuts off like Lightning Bolt, all your cantrips, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Man.
I remember seeing a lot more of Urborg in these types of decks, just because of like the Dismember and the ability to add color to your Eye of Ugin. Yeah. Make it more. Yeah. Instead of 2 mana, it's a Mishra's Workshop.
Eye of Ugin into Urborg is a Thought Knot.
Yeah.
And you're jamming all of your mimics on.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that is almost exactly a Thought
Knot. It's equivalent to Eye of Ugin into Eldrazi Temple. Mm-hmm. Man. This deck is pretty busted.
Yeah. Beautiful. For like the extra race if you need to. Just get that extra damage out.
It's really amazing because every time I look at this list, I see these creatures and they're good. Mm-hmm. But it never seems that busted. And then I look at the mana and I look at the sequencing of the mana, and at the rate you're playing these versus everything else, you're just eclipsing it by far.
Yeah.
Burn strategies. This is faster than that. Jund strategy. You're playing bigger creatures that are almost all like the biggest ones are 2-for-1s.
Faster than they are.
Yeah. And they can't compete with that.
Yep. And then you've got like more modular creatures like the Endless one that you can just make as big as you want.
Clips your Termagoyfs all day
mm-hmm.
for half of the lands. Well, for the same amount of lands. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the plays I've seen where people are just slam a turn 1 Eye of Ugin and they're like Endless 1 for 2, Endless 1 for 2, Eldrazi Mimic, pass. It's like you just put 8 power on the board on turn 1. What the hell?
Yeah, the Mimics are. If it wasn't for the Mimics, it slows the deck down a lot. Mm. And then Reality Smasher having haste is another part
haste.
Of that. Yeah.
Trample haste and it's a 2-for-1.
2-for-1.
You have to 2-for-1 it if you want to target it.
They didn't even print cards in colors at this rate at the time. And they're like, oh well, I mean.
Well, let's just make it colorless. That'll make it way better, way more balanced, right?
That colorless pip, I remember when the first Kozilek, the Great Distortion, there was somebody leaked it. It was in a high-end judge community, like Facebook group or something, and they leaked it from that, and they weren't even 100% sure if it was real, and that was part of the start of the drama between the judges and Wizards of the Coast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Wizards, I don't know this for certain. I'm probably really flaky on my memory, but I think Wizards tried to pursue legal action against the people who leaked it. Oh, shit. And they didn't even know it was legit.
Yeah.
They're like, what are the repercussions of this card getting printed? Or how does the rules work with this? And it just got out of hand, and people gave it to other people, and then boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that mana symbol thing worked out. Other than Eldrazi Winter, worked out pretty well. I think they should bring it back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely discourages you from being able to use them in a monocolor deck or something like that. Like you have to have the ability to tap for a colorless source in order to cast this. I mean, I do like it. I think it was an interesting mechanic to add, and it made colorless more unique in its own way. So
not just artifacts. And
yeah,
I mean, everybody when they first saw that, everyone raised their eyebrows, going, oh, what we got here, huh? A
Yeah.
little spicy.
Yeah.
Affinity doing the Lord's work, man, holding down the fort for any deck to somewhat.
If there's
perform.
one deck that has stayed consistent for all 4 to 5 years now of Modern, it is Affinity.
These were just the guys who were on the play the majority of the tournament.
Yeah.
That's the only way they got to where they're at.
Probably.
Because I'm looking at these.
They probably went play, draw, play, and won the third game.
Their cards can eclipse, and the mana, the rate at which they can pump them out, kind of equal.
With cranial playing, it kind of gives you the up on damage too.
True, and it gives you that evasion that you need. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not even like one for one-ing their creature slots, and that's
how many
rough.
Of these Affinity decks do you think won off of Inkmoth Nexus?
A lot. They didn't have to dismember; they're just dead to it.
Yep.
And not all the lists are playing for dismembers. So here's LSV. He's playing the Channel Fireball list, so you pretty much guarantee this is the best version. This is the list to play. And I'm looking at it. Gut shots for Infect.
So that was a
early one.
Yeah, but that was like the Eldrazi tech, right? Or the versus Eldrazi tech.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm guessing that is what that's for there, because it eats all of its creatures at 6 mana, 5/8. Damn.
Mm-hmm. And it steals their lands, their soul lands that you use to cast your Eldrazi.
Yeah. At that point, it's like you're trying to get an Ayavugan to get more advantage, maybe, or maybe Ghost Quarters to blow their stuff up. And then you just have other just random hate cards. It feels like Ratchet Bomb, Spell Skites, and Relics. Yeah, those Oblivion Sowers are a good call. I like that a lot. Affinity.
Oh, was that one playing Gear for Grid?
In the sideboard?
No, I thought it was in the main board. Oh, no. It's stubborn now. Okay,
yeah,
that's interesting.
That's having the sideboard. It's one of my favorite cards ever. Here's another Channel Fireball build of that deck. This one's playing Wasteland Strangler and Blight Herder. So this is an older version of the builds. Are they playing
Cavern of Souls?
What's the pain land that's Underground River?
Oh, so that black
I love the tri-land tech of you can tap for colorless, and then you can tap and pay 1 for each of those colors.
I do like that. Yeah. I
always thought that was a very cool use of those cards that kind of went to the wayside for a really long time. This deck almost should be playing those.
I think we did see. I think the first place list is playing them.
Is it?
Yeah, and the last place list is. It looks like
Shivan Reef. Yeah, there it goes. And then it's also this is a very
same as the first place list. Almost exactly to the card.
Like, does it really need to be playing Scalding Tarns?
For the 2 steam vents and 2 islands.
Gemstone Caverns. Yes. I mean, yeah, even like the more recent Eldrazi decks, you'd see more Gemstone Caverns, I bet. They just want to get that play and smash it out.
So Pro Tour, other than the Gatewatch, just total stomp down by Eldrazi. Like, uncontested. Affinity was the only thing really reigning, like sticking around for that entire tournament, it looks like.
Yeah. So there's 3 Grand Prix on the same day. There's like 3 groups of Grand Prix on like the same day. So GP Detroit, I had some friends go to this one.
This is about the same exact story, except creature
6 Eldrazi decks, and they're worried about Splinter Twin. Yeah. Hey, Watsy, why don't you focus on what's coming up?
They really looked at Ayavuk and were like, "Yeah, this is okay. Let's ban Splinter Twin." Yeah.
So you know what modern format that everybody's clamoring about? Let's break it.
It's pretty cool to see Creature Toolbox still sticking around and doing what it does here.
Yeah, this is what I think I was playing. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was playing this at the time because you could stall out with kitchen finks pretty good,
Yeah,
and
like
then just combo them off.
you gain infinite life. What do they got to do against it? They're just slamming you with Eldrazi.
Yeah, the most degenerate draws they had, you couldn't really compete.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're playing somewhat of a fair game,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this deck could take it over.
Yeah.
It was kind of the turn 4 win deck at the time because you didn't have Twin or you didn't have Pod.
Yep.
And then all the Eldrazi decks were just aiming for Infect because that was what they were fearing the most.
Oh yeah,
So
because it's the only one that can race them out.
The gut shots and the Chalice of the Voids.
Yes.
There's like 8 cards in the 75 that are directly attacking that one deck.
Yeah. Especially with Chalice on just Chalice on 1 against Infect seems so brutal.
3 dismembers, 4 pass main deck.
This one's a white blue list.
Looks like it.
Phyrexian Metamorph is really interesting. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see more of that.
Yeah, me too. Now looking at it, I'm like, copy of Thought-Knot Seer or Reality Smasher. That's a banger right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one's playing one of my favorite Eldrazi, the Displacer.
Yep.
I love Eldrazi Displacer. Card's super cool.
I mean,
this was also a white blue list running Displacer.
Eric English, I recognize that name. I think
green red.
Kozilek's Return.
You should tell your story about the Kozilek's Return.
There was a guy in Cedar Rapids who's like, this card is gonna go up. It was pre-release weekend. I opened one that was stamped, a foil one that was stamped, and I traded it for like $60 or something crazy. And he's like, "It's gonna go up, man. It's gonna go up." And I'm like, "Sounds great. Here you go. I'm so happy you got the opportunity to get this card from me.
Get ahead on this.
Yeah, my loss is your gain." That was a lot of fun.
This is playing World Breaker. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the Ancient Stirrings. That's a real card.
That's real, for sure.
And then the World Breaker also eats all of the cards in the mirror match.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like this build. I'd consider the Kozilek's Returns are like whatever. I don't know why you'd play those.
But the Ancient Stirrings, the World Breakers, you even got Oblivion Sower's main board in this deck list.
This one was they were trying to win the mirror match. Lightning Bolt, same situation.
Okay, so it's seen a lot of different variants of like color additions to the deck. At least there's some variants between like blue, blue white, and blue red, and green red.
This format's got all the
so diverse,
dude.
So diverse.
They didn't want people just playing Splitter Twin blue-red decks, so now it's Eldrazi blue-red decks and Eldrazi blue-white decks.
We're gonna play Eldrazi decks with a sprinkle of color. little salt of red and blue on top.
Jerry Thompson, he played around the Midwest quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What version is he playing? He's playing blue-white.
Blue.
Blue
white,
not white blue.
White blue. Got to put the most important colors first, you know. White's more important.
Storm's probably not a bad option to attack the metagame if you can go off on like turn 3 every game.
Yeah, seems very dependent on having like an optimal hand.
So get ready for a lot of that.
Okay.
Only 5 this time.
Look at that. The first one's a blue-white list. Then we got another blue-white list.
Then Affinity. This guy rolled the dice. He's like, I'm gonna be on the play every match this.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna hopefully do it throughout the top 8.
Okay.
I think this is a good option.
Yeah, I like this.
Living it into Eldrazi.
Yeah, is you just upset all their creatures on turn 3. They go to do their thing, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna Violent Outburst in response and put all your creatures in the bin.
Mm-hmm. Plays main deck and Fulminator Mage and can reoccur them.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Fulminator Mage seems like a good stab against the Bland base.
Yeah, I'd be that would be a consideration at the time. But well, Chalice of the Void. If they're playing the
That's true.
Chalice on 0,
Yeah.
GG.
Yeah.
Collective Bant, Intrepid Hero. People are playing Intrepid Hero in this. So it's 2 any color, 1 white, 1/1. Tap it to destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. And you see other cards like that popping up in this format.
That shows you how diverse this meta was. People were so desperate to call out of the winter that they were playing Intrepid Hero.
Big Game Hunter.
Oh yeah.
You remember that card?
Yeah.
It's like Madness for a black 1/1 when ETBs destroy a creature with CMC 4 or greater. Something like that. More Eldrazi. This is the green one that I liked.
Green red list. Yep. Yeah. Running bolts.
Blue white. Green red. So it's starting to go down to 2 decks. Green red or blue white.
Yep. You see the blue red deck disappeared.
All right. Melbourne. So the last 3 ones we looked at are all on the same day. Eldrazi aggro.
Only 3 this time.
Yeah, Livinen's doing pretty good. I'm surprised that these decks, or at least this top finisher, didn't have a Chalice of the Void main deck. Yeah, none of them do.
Green, red, blue.
Blue, white, blue, white, green, red.
Yep.
And then Livinen. Let's see if they're running 4 Vizier Seers.
Wow. So they were all in on the combo in this deck.
Oh, and Offenza came in as as almost a replacement to Malira. So they have 4 copies of Malira-ish, 4 copies of Vizier Seer,
and 4 copies of Fangs.
4 Spell Skites. Yeah, they were going hard in the combo.
Yeah. Oh,
Worship's a pretty good card if they're not playing the green version.
I love that enchantment. That might be one of my favorite enchantments of all time.
So you like not playing Magic?
Oh my god, I remember there was one of our basement nights at Modern, back at the old place you're at. Tom Held was playing against me, playing humans, and I'm playing Devoted Druid combo, and he got me game 1, no questions asked. Second game, he boarded out all of his non-creature removal, and I had a Devoted Druid on the field, and I slammed a second creature. And then I just tapped out for a worship right there with 2 creatures on board. And he just goes, well, I boarded out all my removal. I can't win to this. And I was like, great.
I got the golden ticket.
That card has won me games on multiple occasions. For sure.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I've got 1 card left for this. I can win, maybe.
They never expect the worship. The 1 of worship in the sideboard.
Oh, gets them every time. 3 of worship in this sideboard.
Yeah. I mean, that still seems pretty interestingly strong against Eldrazi aggro, though. Here,
there's no way I was going this hard into the combo back then. This is spicy.
Ooh, is this like the start of Dredge here?
This might be our first Dredge deck.
Yeah. Seeing Conflagrates, Dark Blasts.
Vengeful Pharaoh. I forgot to write this one down.
Ooh, what's this one? Death Touch.
Whenever it deals... Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you and it's in your graveyard, you destroy that creature and put the Pharaoh on the top of your library?
Yep. You are a planeswalker you control.
Whenever combat damage is dealt to you or a planeswalker you control, a Vengeful Pharaoh is in your graveyard. Destroy the attacking creature, then put Vengeful Pharaoh on top of your library.
That is funny. I have never seen this card before.
Yeah. I died to one hard cast once. That's a cool card.
It's a 5/4 with Death Touch. So, zombie infestation. Okay.
Yeah, this is a spicy meatball right here, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Golgari Grave Troll. First appearance in Modern.
Since its unbanning. Yep.
It didn't really get a lot of play before before a new dog was in town.
Yep.
Man, imagine 1,000 people playing Eldrazi in the room, and then 105 players playing whatever else they were playing.
I would like to see the metrics on like the number or what deck lists were present for that tournament and stuff like that.
The total, yeah.
Yeah.
The breakdown.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Receivables today, and they're one of the episodes is Alpha and Beta and Unlimited, and they talk about the print runs and how in Alpha there was only like 1,100 of each rare, and I forget the exact numbers, but they're like, imagine going to a Grand Prix of 700 people. Not every person in that room could play that deck of like a 4 of that card. Not even close.
Yeah, you
And
just physically couldn't acquire them.
Those cards are it was so restricted back there, and like at this point, especially with the expeditions, you didn't have those problems. I mean, those expeditions, man, those really fueled a lot of people buying cards. Those the collectors that didn't really play, just keep cracking packs. Got all those Eldrazi's into the economy. Those Eldrazi's aren't worth dick anymore.
Oh no. You look at like Battle for Zendikar or Oath of the Gatewatch on TCG Play or whatever, and the cards in that set are dirt cheap just because so many of them have been opened just for the expeditions.
Expos, man, they motivated pack sales, now didn't they? It's like the One Ring in non-Magic players.
Did you see the prices of the collector boxes of Lord of the Rings when the One Ring got finally cracked?
I heard they dropped like $100.
Oh, it was hilarious. You saw them go from like $420 and just whoop down through the floor to like $350 or something like that.
So next set, April 2nd, Shadows over Innistrad. There's nothing. There's some humans cards. Like, this set was important for tribal decks.
I see some cards that I think were relevant, at least my time playing. Tireless Tracker, Thing in the Ice,
definitely.
Traverse the Uvenwald.
Yeah, that card's kind of disappeared lately, hasn't it?
Thalia's Lieutenant.
Yep.
That's a huge one.
Can't have humans without Thalia's Lieutenant.
And my favorite boy, Duskwatch Recruiter. Oh! Theremin Inspector is a good one too. That card's awesome.
The classic.
Insolent Neonate. That one was definitely a dredge. One to start the dredge decks.
What's it called? The Hollowed One deck.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. So, and Nahiri the Harbinger. That was like, saw some control lists that were running like Emrakul and Boltinger.
Kind of took the place of like what's his face? Ajani to an extent.
Yeah.
I never was a big fan of it. This set's got some really cool cards. Nothing too crazy for the format.
Yeah.
Honestly, go right over it. April 4th. So how many days do we have with these cards? January 16th to April 4th.
Not even
January,
4 months.
February, March, April.
Not even 4 months.
Not even, yeah. Before they ban Eye of Ugin. I mean, you look at those Grand Prix, you look at that Pro Tour. If they didn't do anything, they're really going to screw themselves.
Oh, the Pro Tour was awful. I didn't even realize it was that bad. It was just 6 lists of all Eldrazi.
Yeah, it's like, what I could have watched it. What was the point?
Yeah. I did try to watch it, actually, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I got bored in about 30 minutes.
Let's see what Wizards of the Coast has to say about this. It probably says, like, this is what it says in my head. If you're doubting this ban, what the fuck is wrong with you? Quit playing Magic, you degenerate.
Oh, so immediately they say, at the Pro Tour, Eldrazi were represented in 6 of the top 8 decks, including Jai-Shin Tao's winning deck. On the weekend of March 6th, 3 Modern Grand Prix were held in Melbourne, Bologna? I don't know how to say that.
I don't either.
Bologna.
Yeah, I was questioning the whole time I wrote it.
There were 24 players who had top 8 performances, 14 of whom were playing Eldrazi. So 24 players, 14 of them were playing Eldrazi. including 2 of the 3 winning decks. The results of Magic Online are quite similar. Eldrazi decks are running rampant. The format is very imbalanced and far from a healthy mix of competitive decks.
So they probably went into the Pro Tour going. Watsy was like, they had to have been preparing for that banning for a while of Splitter Twin. But then all those guys are friends with each other, like the pro level and people who work at Watsy and stuff. They're all in bed together, so it's like they knew coming into the Pro Tour that there's some shit stirring up. And
well, I'm curious if these cards were released in January and the Pro Tour was in February. Was there even spoiler season back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So probably a week or two beforehand, people were already theory crafting with this. And there's no way
some people got access to it a little earlier than others.
Right, and there's no way that you can't, like, even if you proxy them up, sit down and play and go, what the hell, this deck is busted.
Like, they didn't play test for Modern back then.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it just kind of slipped through the cracks. I bet internally at Watsy they were like, fuck, what do we do, man? Like, we were planning on banning Splitter Twin when we ban it, and then like all of our friends who are pros are prepping for the Pro Tour, and this shit's cracked. Like, should we revoke the ban on Splitter Twin to see if that can compete with it? Because we can't emergency ban 4 cards or 2 cards before the Pro Tour, and it's just like, oh my god. Well, maybe the Pro Tour will play out and there won't be. Maybe it won't do that well.
Yeah.
Half of the Pro Tour is playing the fucking deck, man. Like, just based off of those odds, somebody's gonna, like, half of the top 8 might finish that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So they made the obvious call and they said, if Ivogin is banned, Eldrazi Temple's legal. The mana sports a more diverse set of builds. There's still a small percentage of games with 2 Eldrazi Temples powering out huge plays. However, there are more games where 1 Temple is drawn and the deck is powerful yet beatable.
This hurt Tron a lot too, because their end game of just that long drawn out activate Ivogin, get my Emrakul, cast Emrakul, almost nothing can deal with it at that point. And after that, they didn't have that weird super duper end game.
Yeah,
I was happy about it. Never really big fan of Tron. Yeah, good riddance. Yeah, it's such a weird.
Oh, they talk about the development. The development team knew that all the Eldrazi cards in the block would be more powerful in Modern because of these 2 mana lands. While there were some risks that Eldrazi decks could be too strong, there was also the possibility that a fun new competitive deck would emerge. At the Pro Tour, only about 8% of the field played Eldrazi deck. The same amount played Infect, and more played Burn or Affinity.
Okay.
It was not clear to most professional players that the Eldrazi deck was too strong or even as strong as the alternatives. In such a big format, it is very difficult to know how strong a deck will turn out before holding high-level tournaments. And much of the enjoyment of Magic for many players is seeing that play out. Ultimately, as the result of the Pro Tour and the Grand Prix have shown, the Eldrazi deck has proven to be too strong and has had an unhealthy effect on the format.
Yeah, I mean, that conversion rate is fucking insane then.
Yeah.
Only 8% of the players were playing it, and half of 6 decks of the top 8 were.
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't? Who didn't have like the best finish in the.
Right.
Who played Eldrazi and was like, yeah, I went for 1-5. Maybe you shouldn't be playing Magic, bro.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing at that level.
Oh, I didn't know what that symbol meant in the corner. I didn't know. I thought that was like a weird, like, new purple symbol or something. I didn't know how to produce the mana for it. And then they talk about the unbannings of Ancestral Vision.
And Sword of the Meek.
Still didn't do enough for blue decks, obviously, so we're going to release that. And Sword of the Meek. The fact that Sword of the Meek doesn't go infinite with, like, just the 2 cards really restricts it. And I love that that combo. It's a lot of fun, but it's slow. You have to have another thing to produce mana. It's kind of just been in Modern since that point. 2 more Grand Prix.
So we still see Eldrazi pop up in one deck list, but this looks like a much more diverse and healthy metagame than anything we've seen so far this year.
Pascal, he top 8'd the Pro Tour with Eldrazi. Mm-hmm. Javier Dominguez, I think he was playing Splitter Twin up until this point. Corey Burkhart, another Grixis Control top 8. That's cool. And then Joe Lissette, he was huge. These two guys were big on the Star City circuit. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I think we see Joe Lissette pop up. He played Miracle Control and Legacy. He's like super known for it.
Actually, I think I remember he has like a whole full of that deck. I'm pretty sure. I think in Birmingham. I think he played in the 2018 Birmingham. Playing Miracles.
If it's a Legacy Grand Prix, yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely was.
Yeah,
he had a very high chance of winning that.
Oh, he was. It was very strong. His deck was very strong.
He's probably considered the best Legacy player at the time.
Yeah.
Affinity Junior. What the hell is this? So Affinity, Eldrazi aggro. Let's see. They start playing these ramp cards.
Mm-hmm. The deck slowed down. They got nobles now.
Yeah, this is what Cody played for the longest time. Let's see what Jun has. Like, this is a healthy metagame here.
Yeah. And not a single double deck. Well, Affinity.
Affinity.
That's fine.
Yeah. There's our Kalidas.
Yep.
Thank God, because I was nervous he wasn't going to show up, and I looked like a fool. Painful Truce. This card was talked about a lot during preview season and never amounted to much.
Yeah.
Malira.
Mm-hmm. Pod. Heavy on combo. Mm-hmm. 3 Viscera Seers.
Now this is what I'm talking about, baby.
Grixis Control, 4 Visions, Snapcasters, Tassigers, all that good stuff.
Sundroplet. Seeing it again. Fulminator Mage is interesting.
Crypt Incursion. That sees a lot of play in.
So is this the mono green? There's a World Breaker.
Mm-hmm. Green red.
Is it actually running?
4 bolts.
Oh, okay.
4 Grove of the Burn Willows. So I don't know why they're playing Grove over Carpulsan Forest in this deck, though.
Because your opponent gaining life isn't a big deal. It's Tron.
Oh, okay.
You're just eclipsing that
life difference, I guess.
Ulamog starts to get played.
Mm-hmm. People realize that casting and exiling 2 permanents is pretty good for 10 mana.
Yeah. Also in a casual Commander Masters tournament at Gen Con. So Matt and I were at Gen Con, and we signed up for a 2-headed giant Commander Masters event.
Yeah.
And I played a deck with Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger in it, and one of my opponents was mana screwed, and I Ulamogged his two of his lands away. So it was a 1v2 at that point.
Holy
shit.
And
our opponents just conceded, and we were like, oh, so like what do we get for points? And they're like, you just get the participation points. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, all of the commander events are just participation points. And I was just like, oh, I'm an asshole. And they're like, yeah, you are. Matt and I just laughed and like we went away, and then we were like and told like Cody and Reese just like how badly we brutalized those 2 guys.
Yeah.
It's just like even without that Ulamog, we just had him dead. And it was like we had, I don't know, there's like a bunch of board wipes in that format, and it was just like I was holding back on a board wipe, and it was like, can we board wipe their whole board away? Or do I just completely just demoralize
do a flawless
this guy?
Victory?
Because we knew if we Ulamog that guy's 2 lands, they'd probably concede on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've hated playing against Tron when it casts a new Ulamog, because it's just like I can't do anything about it. They're gonna get 2 of my permanents.
I remember it in Standard. I wasn't that afraid of it in Standard. got Grand Prix Charlotte. I'm more interested. I'm interested in these ones here. Nauseum.
Ooh, showing up at first place list. They're running a one of Laboratory Maniac.
Look at the health of that format.
Oh
there.
well, duh.
This is a
Jeez.
this isn't a healthy format. It's a format that doesn't know what to do with itself. Ugh.
Everyone's stepping out of the den after a cold winter.
Shaking its fur out.
Yeah.
Man, that's what this deck was, huh?
Oh, this deck has like barely changed for the entirety of its existence.
Well, it got Simian Spirit Guide banned, and then it tried to exist after that, and people realized it wasn't going to happen.
I mean, I would say the banning of Simian Spirit Guide was the end of its existence.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, WinCon probably changed a little bit. I think it went to just the Laboratory Maniac or Lab Jace combo. They dig their deck out. Zoo deck, interesting. Knights, Loxodon Smiters, the good stuff.
Pretty high mana cost deck. It is playing nobles and one bird. Okay. Toolbox. Yeah, this is closer to a list I'd play. It's Kiki Pod or almost Kiki Pod, Kiki Cord.
Mm-hmm.
Meh. Mike Segrist on
Sam Oglesby would love that deck list.
yeah, he would.
John Dark Confidence, Tarmogoyfs.
How could you be upset with this list?
No.
This guy's full on pro nowadays. I remember he's coming up on the Star City circuit.
Eli, what's his last name?
Cassis.
Oh yeah, I've seen his name around quite a bit.
Yeah, I always thought he was cool. I always paid attention to him because my best friend in high school's name was Eli. one of my best friends. This is just like a value Bant deck. Well, I guess retreat
combo. Okay.
Ugh. I think actually, I'm now thinking back to it. This might have been the deck list that was like, okay, I mean, if Eli's playing it, maybe I should try it. And then I went, I'm never playing this deck again.
Retreat Core Realm seems like a cool, interesting combo.
Fun fact: this fucking card doesn't have trample.
Yeah.
So it can be a million, and they block it with a Birds of Paradise. Who gives a shit? Then you have like 2 turns to win the game now.
Yep.
Because your deck's gone.
Yep.
Sorry, what were you saying?
You milled over half of your lands. The other half of your lands. I was just saying, I think Retreat's a funny combo, but not very good. So. Death Shadow!
Sam Black. The innovator, man.
Yeah. Yep. And he's been playing it since its inception, I think. This is really interesting.
I never would have guessed that Sam Black was the first person to really pull up with Death Shadow.
So Death Shadow, obvious gimmick of the deck here is you're trying to fetch shock, reduce your life total down to like a manageable distance, and then just kill him outright.
This is super aggressive build.
Oh, very aggressive. Definitely more heavy into the cantrips and trying to get around that kind of aspect of it where you're just surprising people with the Death Shadow's power, which I think has been a common theme of the deck where it's like, I go to 7, swing with my Death Shadow as a 6/6, but you don't know, that's not going to be a 6/6 when it connects.
Oh, yeah.
With like all my mana up in a fetch land or something like that, it's like, I'm going to make this into a 12/12 and double strike it. You're gonna die.
It's pretty demoralizing when you're facing a Death Shadow and they have that fetch land on the field. And you're like, fuck, man. Like, yeah, I could bolt it. It's a 3/3 right now. And then I get blown out.
Yeah.
Or like you're saying, they just, out of nowhere, just come up with the win.
Out of any deck, I think Death Shadow is the number one deck that taught me about fetch land timing. Mm-hmm. It's like, when is the best time to crack my fetch land?
Because it used to just be, in Modern, end of turn, crack the fetch, get a shock land, put it in, play tapped.
Yeah, but like if I'm in Death Shadow, I have to know, do I do this before attackers to like feign out more damage? Mm-hmm. Or do I do this after blockers to preserve my Death Shadow? If they have a reaction, and I crack my fetch, my Death Shadow can't get too bigger yet because I don't have the shock land yet. So they could respond to that. And it's just like that interaction play with the Death Shadow. I really enjoy that. That was definitely pushed me into the deck a lot more.
You never played you didn't play Blue and Legacy. You didn't play Brainstorm and Legacy. So like you had all of these modern players who had that habit that I was just saying of you fetch at the end of the turn, get your shotgun and put it into play tap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like you saw that carry over into people playing blue decks and Legacy where they go, oh shit, I needed to save this for my Brainstorm.
Right.
Or like this deck, I get you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
There's other utility in holding that fetch land.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty straightforward Jund list. Scape shift.
So
went away and came back.
Yeah. And right away they're playing bring. Oh, this is okay. Bring to light scape shift.
Mm-hmm.
So first, no, not the first instance we've seen of this. I don't think.
The bring to light version.
Yeah.
It's either the first or the second. I mean, Scape Shift was doing pretty well up until Eldrazi Winter, and so this would have had like a 3-month period where it could have played Bring to Light.
Yeah.
I don't think it really showed up.
No, probably not. But it's good to see it coming through now. Bring to Light. Obviously we've seen that card more recently, and I'm sure we'll see it as we continue forward.
All right, third set of the year, July 16th.
July.
Eldritch Moon. This one, I mean, Sigarda Zayt is huge now.
Yeah.
Once Hammer came out, that was a deck.
Yes, absolutely.
Took quite a while for it to really get its footing and really figure out each individual slot of the card, because you had the magnetic theft builds, the green, the white, red ones. I remember
blue.
Brandon built one of the very early builds of that.
Oh yeah, before it was even really a deck. Liliana.
Dude, that Liliana the Last Hope. I think that's one of my favorite planes. I love that Planeswalker. I always want to play more of it. I think it's a damn shame that it's not playable more in modern in any format. Because when it's playable, it's just the ultimate isn't a guarantee win. I've won through those a few times.
Oh yeah.
Dude. I had 2 opponents rage quit because I beat my opponent through 2 opponents back to back through Liliana the Veil ults.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
2 opponents, and they're probably just top decking lands, and they're pissed.
Yeah.
Because Arena was like, "Oh, we've got to punish this guy and reward this guy, so you can win through an ultimate."
Yeah, like her ultimate, I feel, is very fair and balanced for what she does.
And her plus ability is really cool. It gets rid of all those, like in Legacy, got rid of all those 1/1 death touchers and shit like that. Snapcaster mages.
Well, and it has such unique interactions with certain creatures. Like it's very good at countering specific creatures. Like especially for this time, I think it's very valuable against Kitchen Finks.
Oh yeah.
Like it can kill Kitchen Finks if it's persisted, or just make it smaller. It kills everything with like an X1 toughness body, right? And I just love the way that it interacts. How it says until the next turn for the uptick. So
that was pretty unique at the time.
Yeah, so you can just use it as a buffer. You can just hold back creatures from attacking her for a couple turns. She can protect herself, but it's not like an overbearing protection. It's not like tap the creature down until the next turn or whatever, something like that. But I totally agree with you. I think she's one of my favorite planeswalkers. I picked up 2 of the I've got 2 of the what is it, the Mythic edition of her. The
negative rarely gets talked about, but it's very fair, very solid negative. Hey, maybe like that new blue-black card. There you go. I really like the 3 mana Lilianas. The Liliana the Veil and Liliana the Last Hope. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to value and like gauge that Liliana the Veil. This one seems easier to me, but it's been played way less.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, that negative, the sacrifice creature ability is very unique, and
I think it was very unfortunate. I feel like this planeswalker definitely could have done better in Modern,
Hmm.
and I feel like it just kind of got pushed down over time, and there were just better options to play over her, I suppose. So for deck archetypes, like she never, it doesn't. There's not a lot of deck archetypes that I can really think of that she'd fit that well into.
Hmm.
Like more of them were kind of a balance between mid range and control, where you're kind of teetering that edge of controlling, but you also want to be pushing forward with the mid range.
Yeah.
So, which I think the best deck that really amplified that for her was the Abzan or like white black decks. I think you played one list one time where I was like, that's it, that's the deck I want to build, and she's just awesome in that style of deck where
Mhm.
you're just kind of playing very mid rangey, but she's like a last resort win con, and then also has some value additions to her. And yeah, I agree. She's definitely one of my favorite
I think
planeswalkers.
it was like a Legacy Richmond tournament, Grand Prix tournament, and she got played in a lot of the blue black decks at the time, and I
Yeah,
love that. That like Grand Prix is one of my favorite Grand Prix to watch. Because I think it's the Reed Duke one,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
might have been the one playing her.
yeah,
And I just love. It's
yeah. He
just
was he was playing one. I think either one or two of her, one main, one side, or
mhm.
two main, maybe.
And it's hard to for me to describe. It's hard for me to describe why I like it so much. Eldritch Evolution.
Huge card.
Yeah.
Huge card. Huge enabler of lots, like definitely fit a little bit into the Coco esque builds a little bit, but then also has quite a bit of implement for decks that like the Allosaurus Raider deck eventually, and other creature combo decks that want to pull out something a little bit bigger.
Spell Queller is one of my favorite cards ever printed.
That
So
card is
cool.
sweet. I love Spellquiller. This set really enables spirits to kind of come forward too.
Oh, absolutely. Mausoleum Wanderer, Spell Queller. There's another one in here
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. Oh, Selfless Spirit. But Spell Queller is like, I remember seeing that and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they printed this card. Do they know what they're doing?
A 2/3 flyer that can exile a cryptic command. Fuck yeah.
Does not counter the spell, it exiles the spell.
Yep.
Yeah, it
So
was.
gets around Dolan's veto too nowadays.
Yeah.
Yep. Collector Brutality. That's a huge card. That's a huge card to see printed.
Like, those were $25 at one point. I remember trading for my second and or third and fourth copy, and it was just like it was brutal.
I remember trading when Return to Return to Ravnica came out. There was the black card Doom Whisperer,
Yeah.
and I traded that at like 20 something bucks for a collective brutality, and I was like, "This is great. This is a trade up, huge trade up."
When that was in standard, everybody at the card store was like super high on that card. I was like, dies to Doomblade.
Yeah,
It doesn't die to Doomblade, but I'm like,
yeah,
it's a 6/6 for 5 fly.
yeah.
Like, it's
Cool.
pay
You can pay
two
to
life to
surveil too. I think. Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck? Like, dude, no.
yeah.
It's I'll counter it all day long. But I don't even remember what I was playing at the time. But it's just like,
Mhm.
or in a format where it's like there's very good red burn cards that the gate deck. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get it. Grimflayer, everybody thought was the next Termagoyf.
Oh, we definitely saw some play in modern though, for
I
sure.
played in that Absent list that you're talking
Yeah,
about. I
yeah.
played it a little bit. Um, some Bedlam Reveler, huge. I was a huge fan of that card. Still
Mardu
am.
Pyromancer. Mardu Pyromancer. That card has killed me more times than I could fucking count.
The deck that the Canadian Highlander deck that I was almost gonna build was a Mardu Pyromancer deck.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, I that deck was like I really loved when that deck was around in the meta. I think that was my favorite time to play when Mardu Pyromancer was around. Honestly.
That's a good power level.
Yes. Yeah. That was like the deck to beat, and it didn't even feel that like it was never a deck that I went up against, and I was like, oh great, time to play Mardu Pyromancer again. It's not like I want to beat my Mardu Pyromancer because that means like I'm doing well in this meta.
Yeah, that's a hell. Yeah, that's a hell. Well, I can't wait till we see that format because I think Jerry T played it at like a maybe a pro tour,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like quoted to say like he talks about Faithless Loon. And he's like, I mean, this card's really good. Maybe it's just good enough to play on its own right. Like maybe we're undervaluing it that much. And Mardu Pyromancer really showed its power level.
Yeah.
And hey, like we can't play it anymore. It's big as it's that powerful.
Yeah.
But it took Arclight Phoenix to really push it
Yeah.
to that point.
Yeah. Unsubstantiate. That's the only card.
Nah.
I've seen some play, but like, yeah.
Even some of these are like hard to justify putting on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Grixis Delver was happening. I did not see that one coming. That really caught me off guard.
What year is it?
Yeah, really. I guess they got what they wanted. It's not Teamer Delver, but Grixis Delver.
Delver, Snapcaster, Tastiger, Young PZ, Gurmag Angler.
Only 3 Gitaxian probes. What a dummy.
Doesn't he know this spell's free?
Yeah. Has he read Young Pyromancer, Tassiger, or Snapcaster Mage? Has he read his cards? Does he understand what this card does?
This looks like a pretty fun list. This looks interesting.
Just imagine if he was playing Death Shadows instead of that.
It's honestly pretty close. I'm not gonna lie. Change the Serum Visions for Thought Scourers and they got Thought Scourers. Okay. So drop the Serum Visions.
This is closer to Death Shadow list than the Death Shadow deck list were at the time.
Yeah, it's fairly close. Red Boars, Cooldowns, Commands, Mana Leaks. You're getting there.
Naya Burn. This is the Wild Nikado Atarkus command days.
Okay.
This list stayed
Green,
for
red,
quite
burn.
a while.
Yeah.
Corehelm Bant. That's just the Eli Cassis deck that we just saw. This is a Sam Blacklist that we just saw.
Yeah.
Okay, this is spicy.
Oh, okay. So this is the Goryo's Vengeance deck.
Is that the only player? Oh, through the breach. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, is it really just all on Goryo's Vengeance resolving?
So if I recall correctly, like some of the gimmicks with this deck is that you could like splice into Arcane, or they play different versions of. Like I remember seeing some that played rituals and stuff like that, so they could splice into Arcane, like your Goryo's Vengeance or your Through Breach to stuff, so that you could get it through. And then you'd reanimate Grizzlebrand on like turn 1, turn 2, and then just do that again with an Emrakul that same turn and win the game or something like that.
Dead.
Yeah.
Or Grizzlebrand into it.
I think this is kind of where you start to see the first era of like the Neoforum-esque decks, kind of like this, where you're basically your whole goal is just pumping out this creature. It's a very fragile deck.
Yeah,
it just wants to shoot this big creature out super early.
These types of decks can't really exist anymore today between the free counter magic and like solitudes and fear or grief shit like that.
Right.
There's no room for it.
Yeah.
Jeskai Pyromancers. So Pyromancer Ascension.
And you see Thing in the Ice pop up, which I liked playing with this card a lot. I enjoyed this card. I thought it was very balanced, and you always saw it coming. You could see it coming, and you had to play around it. That was, I will say, I think that's one of my favorite things about kind of the older eras of Modern, especially like this year and before this even, where you're not going against a closed hand of 6 or 7 with like maybe a couple of permanents and lands on the field and going, I have no idea what I'm getting into, because that's the case now where you have the free pitchable spells and all sorts of stuff like that. But back then you had like your win con was Thing in the Ice, where that hits the field and you're like, I have 4 spells to stop this thing before it turns into a big fucking creature that I can't deal with. And I just feel like that a little bit of that element has been lost, where like you're no longer you're now just playing to win versus playing to defeat what's you're going up against.
Well, this is a good example of that sub game within a game.
Yes.
Whereas like now we have to have initiative to get our jollies off on a freaking sub game within a game. It was like, does he have the 4th instant or sorcery to flip it? Like you're playing this dance there. And then yeah, this deck is attacking from two widely different angles. I mean, it's got the instant and sorcery stuff going on, but the Pyromancer's Ascension.
Yeah.
At the time, no removal spell really got rid of it. Got rid of one or the other, and
yeah, you didn't have huge removal on enchantments.
It was. I like this version of the deck. I was also on the Resleevables. They were talking about like burn and infect certain and mill where it's like they do like their first play of the game and you go, I know what you're doing. Immediately you feel that clock. You feel the clock ticking down. They have the inevitability or whatever.
Yeah.
And Storm gives me that same feeling of like, okay, I know what you're doing. I need to do this.
You know what always got me when I was playing Storm was turn 1 Shivan Reef. I was like, I'm up against Storm. I'm fucked.
I have a certain sequence of spells and I have to execute them.
Yeah. Olivia Voldaren, Grimflayer. Okay, cool.
Pretty
Grimflayer and a Jund List.
Jund List with Kolaghan's Command.
Yep.
And then Naya Burn. Meh.
Oh, something I was just thinking about with the Sam Black list of Death Shadow that I realized is that was the first list too, where we see 4 Mishra's Baubles being played.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There were 4 Mishra's Baubles in that list.
Oh, well, shit.
I didn't even think about that until just now.
Are you sure it was the Sam Black list?
If it was the Sam Black list, yeah. Then yep, go to the Sam down there. There it is.
Holy shit.
4 Mishra's Baubles. This
Dude,
is the first
what
time.
an innovator.
Yeah. He knew he was on when he built this deck. Holy shit.
I've always loved Sam Black's like deck building. He used to always try to push this zombie like goblin bombardment type of build in Legacy. He was like one of the I want to say he's like the first guy who really recognized the power level of sacrificing creatures and like really wanted to exploit it. And just the way he plays a lot of the older formats now of like 93, 94 and pre-modern. He was probably the best pre-modern player. And his deck that he played a lot of land tax in the deck, and he did a podcast or something recently about what that means for the format getting banned, and I really need to go listen to that. I'm really excited to listen to that podcast of listening to Sam Black and what his perspective is on a format.
Oh yeah.
I used to read every single one of his articles. I really respect him as a player and an innovator and just everything. Deck designer.
Yeah. Like I just straight up didn't think about that until we had finished that.
Yes. Maybe not the best use of it in that deck, but it's also like, hey guys, there's this card that nobody's fucking playing, and this card is now considered at one point it was on everybody's radar to get banned.
Oh yeah, we really thought it was going to get banned for a little while.
So here's another chunk of 3 GPs in 1 week, and then here we go. We already looked at that one.
Oh yeah.
Naya Burn, Valakut Breach.
The Breach. So here's Nahiri the Harbinger. Oh, and Oath also. Okay, interesting.
Hate Bears.
Is this like a green white Death and Taxes? Yep.
I remember playing this deck, building this deck, playing it, and I stopped playing it. We were just play testing with it, and I went, I'm never playing this deck. This deck sucks.
I watched a lot of Pleasant Kenobi play that style of deck, like the green white Hate Bears, green white Taxes.
Oh god.
So
no thanks. Affinity. I am a little surprised the Affinity decks. We haven't seen more of it since the banning.
Yeah.
Here's Death Shadow. Sam's Blacklist.
Yep.
Nobody's innovated
it at all. No.
And, I mean, I wouldn't change the list from Sam Black. Like, I don't blame anybody.
Man knows what he's doing. right.
Eldrazi showing its
This
face.
is our first time seeing Eldrazi in a couple tournaments.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say second from the banning.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, it's the deck that Cody played for years.
They're playing one of Secure the Waste.
Oh god, why?
I don't know.
Why would you play that in this list? Oh, my opponent's never gonna see it coming. Yeah, but why would they want to? Why wouldn't they want to see that coming?
Hey man, sometimes you slam 5/1/1s, and back when we didn't have Goblin Chain Whirler, can deal with it. So
It's crazy how much they beat Infect out of the metagame. Like that was a scary monster, and okay, now we finally see it really get a win.
yeah, first time in quite a while. The deck pretty much hasn't changed though. Still about the same list.
No, but Twisted Image. You remember that? Twisted Image was a hard card to come by, and it was such a cool card.
I remember that being the more I saw that played more in Pauper than I did Modern. I think.
Oh, it's Twisted Image isn't in Pauper. There's another card.
Oh,
it's a
like
blue-red card. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was always a spicy meatball. Like when people saw, it was like, "Oh my god, you can do that!" Like,
well, what do you combo with it here? So,
oh no, you're not you're doing it to the spell skite. It kills their spell skite and you cantrip.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yep. That makes sense. That's interesting. I didn't think about that with spell skite. Or like the zero mana.
You can get a few more points of damage if you have your own spell skite and you pump your own spell skite and then Twisted Image it.
Yeah.
So it's like worth 3 damage.
Well, then you can also kill Noble Hierarchs with this too. So.
Yes.
Or anything that's got zero.
It was just
0 power.
A 1 mana 2-for-1 in some weird niche instances. It was
that's
cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
I do miss that card being played. Yeah. Death Shadow. Almost card for card, same list.
Yeah.
Mishra's Bauble with Swift Spear, I guess, is the thing we're going for. It boosts the singleton Termagoyf. Yeah, you see all these Termagoyfs. You see like Seal of Fire, but you don't see one Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah.
In those Jund lists. No. I think the Mishra's Bauble is more powerful than the Seal of Fire.
Yeah, especially for Tarmogoyfs and Delirium-based strategies.
If that's what you're really trying to do.
Another hate bear list. Well, pretty much the exact same list.
Garbage.
It's got a vial. It's got vials. This is all that matters.
Like
that's the only thing that makes it good. It's got vials.
Murpho. Solid Jund list. Solid Affinity list.
Yep.
Eldrazi aggro. So that is
green, blue. Eldrazi.
Okay. So since the banning of Eye of Ugin, have you really seen a deck that had 3 copies of any deck, or even almost maybe 2 copies of a deck?
In the top 8, we saw Valakut, like the Valakut Scape Shift, I think, in one of the previous events, maybe. But otherwise, the metagame's been super diverse. So we two Affinity decks on that list. All 2 Jund lists.
Coco and Bant. It's similar. They're different. They're close. Different.
Yeah.
Ones. Yeah. And what we got down here? Yeah, this is a very diverse format. Not my favorite format, but it.
2 Naya Burn lists.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, Burn is.
That being at the level of top 8 of a Grand Prix, I'm not thrilled about.
Yeah, 2 Valakut Breach and 2 Affinity lists. So this is an extremely healthy metagame post ban. I feel like.
Did we hit this one?
Let's see. Yeah.
No, this is the Infect one.
Blue-white controls were
here. Yeah, we didn't really look at that.
4 Celestial Colonnades. 3 Ancestral Visions. Blessed Alliance.
I guarantee you I played this list. Condemn. The one of Condemn.
1 of Gideon Jura. 1 of Detention Sphere. 3 Wall of Omens as well. deck.
All right, Kaladesh. Last set of the year. We got fast lands, which are very big. They actually affect other formats more than they affect modern, but it's still.
I mean, there were some relevant ones. I think Botanical Sanctum, Inspiring Vantage, Spire Bluff Canal.
Spire Bluff Canal, yeah.
That's true. Yeah. What was the other one that got released? Concealed Courtyard, the white black one.
Black green.
Or black green.
Got a little bit of play.
Oh, Blooming Marsh. That's what that one's called.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they all affected modern to some extent.
Yeah.
Those cards, great design space. I like the new one. The opposite of it.
Yeah, the slow lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those, yeah, I think especially Inspiring Vantage for Burn. That's where like Burn was able to go. Okay, we're gonna go full red white now.
Yeah. Let's wait till we get to Modern Horizon. Inventor's Fair. These are $12 now.
I know. I picked up like 6 copies of them back when they were less than $1. And I don't regret it at all. I was like, this card's amazing.
I was like, this must be a mistake. I was like, maybe I should get rid of some. Aetherflux Reservoir, Fringe Play, like
funny combo card, love it.
The next Jace the Mind Sculptor,
Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Yep. I love this Planeswalker.
I love this Planeswalker. Love the power level.
Yeah.
I like the formats where you can play this card.
Yes.
It's like the Liliana of the Last Hope.
I loved it, especially like Ponza decks. Love that card. Mm-hmm. You know, just mid range. Anything that wants red. Like, okay, what's your red? Semi big win condition. Chandra. She does so much.
I could be wrong, but I think at one point the Arclight Phoenix and Pioneer they would board into these as really? Like more of a mid rangey weird play. Yeah, and I love that.
I mean, why not? Sky Sovereign's awesome play.
Saheeli Rai, that combo deck.
Yeah. Obviously, that hasn't shown up yet because we still have Aether Revolt to get to.
I got a Saheeli Rai copycat story.
Oh yeah.
So there was an announced ban, a time when they're gonna ban something, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get back into standard. I'm gonna make the grind. I'm gonna try and get to an RCQ. Mm-hmm. They on that announcement date they said, copycat is fine. We're gonna leave it in standard. I went into the game store to buy the deck, and our friend Willie went, haha, like, what are you gonna buy, copycat? And I'm like, yeah, I'm buying copycat. And he's like, well, it's banned. And I'm like, no, it isn't. I read the article. I was like, it's not banned. And he's like, no, they just emergency banned it today. And I'm like, the fuck there's no way they did. And I'm like, okay, oh, you got me. Show me the article. And he pulls up the article. I'm like, Moose, is this real? Because I just completely doubted it. And yeah, so they didn't ban it on the announced ban date, and then 2 days or 3 days later, they emergency banned it.
Yeah.
I was pissed because I was like, I was minutes away from buying the deck and finding out that
it was banned. It was banned. You're just gonna play it.
That one was not justifiable for WotC on that size. Like,
no, they screwed up big time on that one.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time we've ever seen them print, like directly, accidentally print an infinite combo into standard like that.
No, there's one in standard right now.
Like
not two card, not Splinter Twin combo.
Yeah, I was about to say like a instant win Splinter Twin S combo. Like what combo is in standard right now?
It involves that Cauldron.
Yeah, Agatha's.
And then Sleep Curse Fairy, the one that comes in with, it's a 1/3 mana. Or sorry, it's a blue 3/3. It untaps for 2 mana, and then there's a card that taps for like mana equal to its power or something or toughness. Okay. So you exile that. Sleep Curse Fairy gets the ability, infinite mana, and then there's other cards in the deck, and there's a dragon that says 1 any color, 1 red, deal 1 damage to any target.
Okay.
So you some version of getting that on the field or in the graveyard, and boom, dead.
Yeah.
It got 9th at the last Pro Tour. I haven't seen any of it on Moto or on Arena. I've seen it one time on Arena, and I've been playing a lot. Smuggler's Copter actually never did broke into modern,
No, I mean,
busted in standard.
fucking bust straight cracked in standard. The thing was amazing in standard.
I'm gonna see how good it is in my old Canadian Highlander deck.
There you go.
Seems okay. I never was a big fan of the card. In modern, it's like Dies the Bolt. I think that's the reason why nobody played it.
Paradoxical outcome. I mean, that card didn't really do anything in modern, as far as I'm aware, but it definitely one format that definitely shook up was vintage.
It did. I mean, Cheerios.
Yeah,
that was a modern deck.
True.
With Mox Opal. That deck completely died with Mox Opal, but it was Pure Steel Paladin, Paradoxical Outcome, and you're bouncing these 0 mana equipment artifacts back to your hand, and
you play like Retract too.
Yeah, Retract. That was that card. I held on to that card forever, and then I was like, finally, I can get rid of these, and then you like grape shot them out. It's just a fancy storm deck.
Yeah, a funny artifact storm deck.
But yeah, I mean, vintage. That card's nuts. Mm-hmm. The Gear Hulks to some extent.
Torrential Gear Hulk was always a really fun one. Ooh, yeah.
Ovenwald Chase, Daredevil.
Took a couple years for that card to see fruition, but I think in the Witch's Brew decks, once MH2 released, those were the Asmo decks.
Yep.
Those were very strong to just be able to enable the cookbook.
Those decks were very interesting when they came out of like the troll. What's the troll's name?
Old Growth Troll?
No, the Feast Troll. Something.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's a like 7/6
Feast King Troll or something.
Yeah. So those decks first came out, and then it was this. Oh, we can't play it because Asmo will kill it, and it was just like this balance of those just got phased out of the format because more people are playing Asmo.
Yeah.
And there was a time where I was like, man, what the fuck? Why isn't anybody playing this deck anymore? I was like, it's still a decent deck. And so I brought it back and I played, I almost had it right there. I almost had the name. The Feast Troll guy. And I was just like, dude, this card is insane. Now that you can actually play it, where you're just like busting out a 7/6, a recursive 7/6, and just doming them.
Yeah. I gotta look up what the card name is now. It's gonna bother me.
Feasting Troll King. Experimentivity before indomitable creativity decks.
Yep, 6/6 ETBs. If you cast it from your hand, create 2 foods, sack 3 foods, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Feasting Troll King. Yeah.
Not a good card. As much as kill it.
What's the card? Soul or Solitude.
Yeah.
Takes care of it, and then Fury takes care of fucking Asmo. Yeah. It's like, ugh.
Madcap Experiment. You played a deck with that.
I did. It was not that good.
Platinum Empyrean Madcap.
Ceremonious Rejection was a fun card. I miss when you played those kind of cards in your sideboard.
Oh, Cathartic Reunion for Dredge.
Oh yeah, that's
nice.
That's a very important card.
Yeah.
So you see these pieces of Dredge coming up. Man, I would have thought Dredge was like a real deck by now.
Yeah.
But it hasn't even done anything in this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one showed up. Oh, Scred Red. Did not expect that to happen.
Not really.
Damn. Okay, Infect's showing up. Corey Burkhart with Grixis Control. That's his third top 8 in a GP with that.
With Grixis Control.
A version of that deck.
Yeah.
Man, dude.
Well, that Scred Red looks like the early iteration of like a Red Winds deck, basically.
Stormbreath Dragon. Eternal Scores. This is a spicy meatball, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Caught the hammer.
But it's running like the 4-drop win cons and then Blood Moons and Scred, Scrying Sheets.
At the time there was these like soul land mono red decks in Legacy,
Yeah.
this is what it was taken
Right,
after, but
right.
it didn't have any of the good ramp.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of kind of like hate cards with with good removal.
George got me a couple times with the Red Winds deck in Modern.
George. Oh
George,
yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas used to always play this deck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played against him a couple times playing Scred Red. I remember that.
Here's your Jeskai control.
Woo!
Torrential. Yeah, let's go, baby.
Lady Bolts, Pass, Sphinx's Rev, Supreme Verdicts. Think twice.
There's a lot of weird kind of nombos in this list here.
Yeah.
With the torrential does not fit.
Doesn't do anything with Sphinx's Rev, and Think Twice is like alright.
Okay, so here we go. But yeah. I mean, End Effect is the winner here. Yeah. So.
And we'll probably see a pretty standard list out of it. Period. I think.
Brian Braun big pro, big Star City writer at the time. Here we go.
So 4 Golgari Grave Trolls, 4 Insolent Neonates, 4 Prize Amalgams. Stinkweed finally comes in. Cathartic Reunion, 4 of those. Shraycorn is a one of.
Narcomoeba.
Yeah, this is like...
Narcomoebas 2 get Prize Amalgam. Narcomoebas did nothing because Dread Return was banned all throughout the history of Modern. Conflagrates were $10 back then. Damn. Nobody could find them. It's weird, like there's these uncommons. I just like, it's not like they were ever used for anything. It's like they just all disappeared. Fate Stitchers, Conflagrate, pay 2 life cycle it, Street Race.
Oh yeah.
These cards like that. It's like you can't find them.
Yeah. Of course, now they got reprints, but
now they're nothing because they're not played anymore. They got reprinted to the ground.
You know what's a weird common or uncommon that I saw recently that I was just thinking about that like went up was Cephalid Illusionist or Cephalid.
Oh yeah,
Cephalid Breakfast. It was like nobody played that card for any reason whatsoever, and now it's like they're like $5 a piece. Or
that used to be a deck, a real Legacy deck.
Oh yeah,
a while ago.
Because Shuko and Core or whatever existed before then too. Yeah. So the combo was there. Just like now you have the enablers.
I was looking at one set. I got all the way down to the cheapest card in the set, and it was Conflagrate. From like probably one of the most expensive uncommons that were like a modernly printed card to the lowest price card in the set.
Right.
Yeah. No one saw this coming.
But, you know, that list now, I think it's going to pick up for quite a few. It's got to pick up from here on out.
Where's his rest in peace?
Yeah. Where's rest in peace at? No one's playing safe. No one respects the graveyard. Dredge is about to show him who's boss.
Yeah, I'm just going to start showing up now.
Yeah.
Titan Shift. Yeah, I mean... Ooh, Simian Spirit Guide in this bad boy, huh? Mm-hmm. We're going hard.
Yeah, really trying to go in on like a turn 5, turn 6 win or something here.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's like, well, I guess he's running Summoner's Pact, so he's going hard into Summoner's Pact in prime time.
Oh yeah, this is like
7 copies.
Interesting amalgamation of, well, yeah, it's just through the breaching prime time.
But is this really even worth it?
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, you can go do a turn 4 prime time with the Simian Spirit Guide, right? Mm-hmm. So
I think I'd rather be playing the blue version of this deck.
Yeah.
Escape Shift.
Yeah.
And that's the last event of the year.
I think we did miss the Worlds for this year.
Oh, I skipped it?
Yeah. Right before.
Yeah. Okay, so the Worlds, there's only like 4 rounds of it. There's like, I don't know, 4 different formats that they play. Mm-hmm. I think this shows first place.
Yeah.
Brian Bonduin was playing Bant Eldrazi that year.
Yeah.
And it's later in the year, so it's...
I mean, this is pretty much the same creature list as what we've seen post Eye Lugan ban. No, I mean, that's all I can see.
Abzan.
That's this list.
Grim Flayers. This is where I first was like, oh yeah, Grim
okay. Flayers. Yeah, well, this is kind of the list you were going for with the Grim Flayers, and then they've got Lingering Souls,
This
Path Thoughtseize, all that good
this
stuff.
might have been the list that I played back at like that Perkins. Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Titan Shift. Yeah.
Abzan
Abzan Company.
This is Malera Pod still.
I think looking back at it, I'd really want to play like one of these Eternal Witness Coco. I love that. I love that.
Eternal Witness, get back my Coco. This is white black
Okay.
tokens. Guardian Ally Zendikar. Or Gideon. Bitter Blossom Intangible Virtue. What?
I don't get it. So they came out with a modern deck, like a pre-built modern deck, and it was black-white tokens. And like the only card, there's a Sword of Feast and Famine in there. There's an Inquisition of Kozilek, what at the time wasn't worth anything, but eventually went up to a lot. And then Marsh Flats was in that as well.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a what from all of the players that the product was a huge failure, and they never did a modern deck.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
I had no clue that existed.
I was wondering if it was based off of this. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because this deck is way different. It's got lilies and shit like that.
Yeah.
But it was like they didn't put. It was like $70 retail or some like a decent number. And at the time, that's a lot of money for a Magic product.
Oh yeah.
And nobody bought the damn thing. Nobody bought it. It's like everybody questioned, like, okay, you did a horrible deck, and then you didn't even like put 4 of cards. But then they came out with the standard decks and the Pioneer decks, and those were a much better version of that product line.
Yeah, where the only thing you had to get really was like your Chase Mythics. Like I remember, like the blue-red one, it was like they put 1 Brazen Borrower in. You had to get the other 3, but it's like that was pretty much all you needed to complete the deck to almost competitive levels or something.
Yeah, or like you buy 2 of the decks and jam them together, and then you're practically there.
Right, yeah.
Is that what you just said?
Yes. Well, no,
really?
not about the deck. Not about the decks getting 2 of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I saw a lot like the art, like Phoenix decks. I don't think came with like 4 White Phoenix stuff like that.
No.
Whereas they gamed it, and it's I don't know. I get it, but it's also like, why aren't you just charging twice as much and giving us the fucking deck? Like,
I think if it was
games like that,
if it was $70 and had a place and a Marsh Flats in it, people would snap that deck up like that.
Yeah, they would have had a rush on it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Marsh Flash wasn't worth that much at the time. It was like $20.
Yeah.
Give them a little extra value, please. Sort of Feast and Famine was worth a decent amount at the time, but it was just like everybody's like, nobody would play this deck ever. Has it even top 8 at a Grand Prix? It's like, no, not really. I don't think we've even seen the list.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, who put this product together? It was a huge failure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went through all that. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So now for like award ceremony of this year. So we're stealing this. We're just ripping this from the Unflameables. Andrew, what is your vote for the best deck of the year?
I was trying to think about this a little bit. This is probably pretty hard, but not trying to play personal favorites, but I think Death Shadow is probably my best deck of the year. I think for this.
The best deck of the year was Eldrazi.
I thought we were talking about personal best decks of the year.
No.
Okay, all right. Best deck of the year, Carlos Eldrazi.
Yeah.
How do you? What do you want me to say? Best card enter in the format, Thought Knot Seer. Reality Smasher. It's one of those 2.
Best card entering the format. Yeah. Thought Not Seer is my number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay. What was your favorite? What's your favorite deck of the year to see like coming into the format? Or I guess
let's go pre and post banning for Eldrazi.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, okay. Post best deck of the year. I almost want to give it to Infect, even though it wasn't like crazy numbers. It started to show up. You get towards the end of the year and it starts showing up, but the metagame can correct for it.
Yeah.
You see you see those gut shots. You see Chalice of the Voids early on because they
Mhm.
were afraid of it. Best card entering the format. That's a
Like post ban.
so fast lands are very relevant.
I think it's ooh, that's hard.
So
I
post banning, but it was a cathartic reunion. If we're looking at best card, like,
Cathartic Reunion or maybe even Prize Amalgam
or I guess not the best card, but the card that most influenced the format
going forward.
Going forward is probably a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
So like cathartic reunion, prize amalgam, thing in the ice to a little bit.
Yeah, maybe Grimflayer.
In that year, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that might be the
Yeah.
most influential card that year.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, yeah, cathartic reunion or most of these cards have been pushed out. I can't. What card
they
on
feel
this
like
list?
a glimpse in time, right?
Fastlands. Those might get played.
I really the only
What
card that I
cards
can
on this list are played?
Eldritch Evolution.
Barely.
Uh,
Because the counter magic is so good, you
Yeah.
never would play those glass cannon lists anymore.
Yeah. Traverse the Uvenwald. I think that's maybe kept up. It's that's a pretty push though.
This is sad.
Yeah.
Just looking at this list of cards and everything is pushed out.
Yeah. I can't see.
I could see World Breaker having a comeback.
Maybe.
Yeah, nothing's like super relevant anymore.
Yeah, but like for 7 mana, even a colorless deck.
No, that's overstatement.
Yeah.
New arrival deck.
Fine. Now I get to say it.
Death Shadow.
Death Shadow.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Dredge comes up.
Yes.
But it's not like Death Shadow is doing consistent wins, same exact list almost every single time, and then Dredge is gonna have its heyday.
Oh yeah,
enough,
yeah, but... yeah. We'll see it. It was a very interesting glimpse into it. That very last Dredge deck list was like 4 Golgari Grave Trolls, and it's running the 4 ofs of like everything that I remember seeing in Dredge decks when I played. Probably about a year or 2 from now. Where Death Shadow is, it hit its burgeonings. It's making top 8 lists, like you said, consistently. It's the first list playing for a Mishra's Bauble. I think I'm super excited to see that deck in its beginning stages.
And evolve, yeah.
Yeah.
Health of the format will take two scores here.
Yeah, we have to, because I would say that pre-banning, given the tournaments that we looked at, the format was not healthy at all.
Pre-ban, Eldrazi Winter.
Yes,
was
Eldrazi
a nightmare.
Yeah,
that was like I didn't remember it being that bad, and it is.
I would probably give it a 2 or a 3. The only reason why I wouldn't give it a 1 is because there was color disparities, and the deck did have a little bit of ability to flex back and forth and have some counterplay. But overall, that this is probably the worst. The Eldrazi Winter was the worst misshapen format we've seen to date out of Modern.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how Hogak
compares. Yeah.
See those numbers and really put it 1 for 1 against each other. And yeah, I agree. Like, if I really gave a 1, if we were given a 1 to anything, it's this and Hogak.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I would probably put it at like a 1.5 to a 2. Yeah. Like at the maximum.
I agree. I like the additional variance within the 1.
Right.
Post format wasn't my like favorite format to play. Not a lot of blue control lists. That is Corey Burkhart, proving everybody wrong with his decks, but he's a very skilled player.
Yeah.
I played a lot of those builds that he played. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely objectively a pretty healthy format.
As far as the health goes, this one definitely get like post ban has a much higher
It's an 8
score.
or a 9 for me.
I think so too.
Yeah.
With the diversity of the decks, we saw 3 tournaments where there were multiple copies of decks, and even then there were just 2 in the top 8.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
it's like, what do you expect?
yeah, we saw. I think we covered at least almost 10 different deck archetypes in the tournaments that we did post banning. Where like that's very healthy, and the ability to see new decks coming in is extremely healthy. That's how you know the format's progressing, is if more deck archetypes are showing up as the game progresses.
So this is 2016. I am excited to see how this format evolves, and if it evolves into there's an obvious bets deck, or if we hit another, like Hogak doesn't come out for another 3 years, so
Yeah.
I doubt we're gonna go, oh, Hogak, it gets broken again, and that disrupts it like we did.
Yeah.
Eldrazi Winter disrupted the Splitter Twin data of like, oh, what would that have looked like?
I'm really interested to see how the health of the format goes all the way up until MH1, because that was a massively defining turning point in the format. And before that, I can just thinking from my play experience and recalling, I really feel like Modern was in a much more healthy place before that set came out. It was kind of just like that gradual push of health, and like the format kind of shaped out a little bit more, and you do see archetypes popping up and disappearing, but for the most part it's very diverse. Like I frequently remember seeing people who would come in on infrequent basis with decks that I would not normally see, and we'd still have very high level competitive interesting plays. Where that seems to kind of fall away post MH1, and you just have like your very archetype centered, like you have your hammer time and your whatever else.
Nominal creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. The the bannings and unbannings this year. So okay, Splitter Twin is its own thing, but Summer Bloom, yes, necessary. I like the banning. That deck did not fit the Modern format with as it was. The Ayavugan banning is one of the best bannings I think I've ever seen, where it goes from this deck is degenerate and completely defining the format to a playable deck, a justifiably playable deck, and it won Worlds.
Yeah.
It wasn't overbearing, it wasn't overpowered, and it's just with one card, it went from the most broken deck in the history of Modern to.
Yeah, and that was definitely a correction by Wizards, where they were like, okay, instead of banning these 4 Eldrazi creatures or whatever, we're just going to attack the land base, get one card out of there, and that made, like you said, it I think it put it where Wizards wanted it in the first place, which was a healthy new introduction to the meta
Mid-range deck.
Yeah.
And all the cards were accessible.
Yes.
Well, pretty much accessible.
They were all standard cards for the most part.
And the lands weren't.
Well, yeah, Eldrazi Temple.
All the cards other than the lands were accessible at the time, which is maybe they're trying to go, oh, let's make the MH1 for like. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But
I mean, I think
it could affect. It could. You release a mechanic that's that strong, that interacts with certain older cards.
Yeah.
It could do that. Whereas most of the price of the deck was within the lands.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I feel like is very traditional for Modern. I feel like most of once it's always been the saying with Modern players or people who are trying to get into Modern is once you get your 40 fetches, you can build most of the decks in the format. So, yeah, I think that's a true statement for most any deck. So.
All right, and for the last one I have written here is.
Why are you playing that card?
Why are you playing that card? The Mishra Bobble is kind of on there. There's one I really critiqued the card.
Retreat to Coral Helm.
No, not even that one.
The tap destroy a creature with power 4 or greater.
That's a
Intrepid
good
hero.
one, but I know why you're playing that card. Oh, shit. I think it was in like the Scape Shift deck. Oh, no, No, okay. It was the Titan, Primetime Titan list where it's like
Through the breach.
Through the breach.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what? Wait, are we trying to cheat out Primetime that bad to ramp 2 lands?
Yeah.
Like,
why aren't we just playing Search for Tomorrows?
Why aren't you just
instead?
playing the fucking lands?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
They're, yeah, for less mana, you can ramp 2 like cards into play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Or maybe Gear Hulk with think twice. That sort of interaction is like, what? Why are you playing that? Like, why aren't you just playing Snapcaster Mages?
That's another good one. The 4th Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
another good one to bring up. Like, Think Twice was only played as like a 1-up up to that point, and now you're jamming 3 with a card that why are you like these nombos almost?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped. I just want to go on to the next episode to see like how this
See what next year looks like.
because I'm like blanking on it until Hogak.
Yeah, it's just it all feels like a blur up until then. Like a little bit of popping out of like Arclight Phoenix and then Hogak. It's like Arclight Phoenix, a little bit of it's kind of like Pyromancer, Phoenix, Hogak. It's kind of my thought process of it a little bit.
So I'm guessing Mardu comes out next year at the Pro Tour.
Probably because I don't
has
think
all
it
the
needs.
tools.
Yeah, it doesn't need any more enablers. Yeah. No.
I'm guessing Get Pro gets banned. No, Get Pro gets banned once Death Shadow, like the blue black base Death Shadow, Grix's Death Shadow takes over. So I'm guessing 2 more years before that happens.
Next year, we get Aether Revolt. What else? Aether Revolt, Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation.
Hollowed One comes out.
Yeah. Hollowed One, Devoted Druid combo makes an actual, or becomes a real thing. Trying to remember what else came out in like Amonkhet.
Blocking
like
Ballista is very important.
Oh, Ballista. Yep. Ballista is very relevant for the format.
Well, we'll tune in next week and you'll find out more. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. And yeah, peace out, Cub Scout.